Hello, you're welcomed again to EDP 913 Statistical Analysis and Quantification in Educational Planning. I still remain your facilitator, Professor Owajaje Juliet Inegbidio. In this second topic, we're going to look at demographic analysis and educational planning. What are the intended learning outcomes that we're going to gain at the end of this topic? By the end of this topic, you will be able to analyze educational planning using different demographic measures, and you will be able to apply basic demography in planning education for different levels of schooling. But however, we're going to have our focus on demography and educational planning. We're going to have our focus on sources of demographic and population data and information. We're going to have a look at population structure and educational planning and population distribution and school location planning. Now let's get started. The first part is the sources of demographic data. What are the sources of demographic data? Before we go into the sources, we want to look at what demography represents. When we are talking about demography, we are looking at the characteristics of human or animal in what does it entails, what is the composition of that human being. And we need to know the characteristics, what they possess that will help us to determine other things. So first and foremost, to get this, we have to do census. Census will always help us to determine the demographic data that we have in educational, designing education. Now, right here, these are population. We are using Nigeria map as an example, as you can see, and this is the population. Now, if you have to plan for this population, you need to know how many are there in the population. Then, knowing how many are there in the population, remember, with our way of distribution, the characteristics, you have those that are men, you have those that are women, you have those that are girls, you have those that are boys, and the like. So you need to know how many are men, how many are women, how many are boys, how many are girls. Then we need to know their age range, because the census will help you capture all this. And we need to find out how many are in the urban area and how many are in the rural area. Census takes care of this, and it helps a lot when you are planning education. Then the next thing you need to look at is the vital registrations. Under vital registration, the first thing is the birth. Look, see here, you want to know how many children are being given birth to at a time, because when you have so many children being born at a time, it will increase what? The population. You could see it, the population will increase. But if the number of births are few, the population may not be increased. And again, the total number of births will determine also the number of schools you're going to plan for the populace. So right here, you could see that if you have so many births, it has a way it affects educational planning. So the next one we're going to look at is the deaths. People are being born and people are dying. Every day somebody is born. Every day somebody dies. So we want to know how many people are dying. We need records whereby you need to know how many people are dying. Even children. Children of school age, how many are dying, how many are being born? What is the rate? What is the percentage of the death? What is against those that are being born? Again, you need this to plan for education. Yes, you may equally require these statistics also to plan for other economic activities. Now we talk about marriages. When you are being born, definitely as you grow up at a time, you're going to get married. Like you see this one, these are beautiful couple, husband and wife. And as they marry, they're going to give birth. You see, they're going to give birth. And when they give birth, as time goes on, somebody will die. So you see that it's a relationship between having known the number of births, the number of deaths, then the marriage itself. Because at the time they get married, there are other things you need to find out. At what age are they getting married? And if you look at it today, you discover that many people get married a little bit late as compared to those days. And because of that, the number of children too are reducing. Again, hardship has equally helped to reduce the number of children. Like if you look at this picture, you can see that they are not really looking too well, and not many people want to look this way anymore. So what happens? You have to now have the number of children that you can cater for and you can deal with. Then the next vital registration that is required is migration. Migration is the movement of people. You see these people now, they loaded this lorry, they are moving from one place to the other. So when you're looking at the movement of people, they come in two dimensions. It's either you are coming into a particular town, a particular country, or you are leaving that country or that town. So if you are coming in, that is immigration, and if you are going out, that is migration. So in this case, these people, when you need to know the statistics of those that are coming in, the immigrants and the emigrants, we need to know them. If you don't know them, you will not able to plan for accurate number of schools that you may require in taking care of such persons. Now, here, the next one is the demographic sample. This is another way you can get your data. But one thing before we get into the demographic sample, you discover that when you are talking about vital registration, where look at it here, you're looking at vital registration. Again, it depends on where you are getting your vital registration from. Because sometimes if the vital documents are not properly entered, you have a wrong information, whatever thing you do with that information, it becomes null and void, because it will give you a wrong result. And if you use wrong results to plan, wrong data to plan, what will it lead to? It will lead to a bad school plan. So you must ensure that there is a and if you must use any vital registration, look for your government approved registration office that will take care of that particular vital registration that you need in your educational planning. Now let's come to our demographic sample survey. This is another method. You want to know, okay, for example, this is the population that you have here now. You see, this is the population. Out of this population, because you cannot reach everybody. For example, in Nigeria, you have over 200 million Nigerians. Then you want to sample, you want to get something from them. You may not be able to go around all of them. So what do? You take a sample. This sample is a subset of this. And if you look at what is here, you discover that you have this one black, then this one is in a gray, then this is white. What does that represent? Because you have different characteristics that will make up this particular population. So the demographic statistics of this population is what is being represented here. So when you are getting a sample, you must get a sample that will represent each of them. So that is why here you see you have somebody, two representing the blacks, then you have one here gray, then you have here white. So these are you have the population, but this is the sample, and the sample must be a true representative of the population. Now let us look at it again, the way it's being selected. If you look at the total number of blacks here, you see this is 5. So out of 5, 2 were selected. Then if you look at the total number of gray, there are 3. Out of 3, 1 is selected, and the other 1, 2, 3, 1 is selected. So there is a true representative of it. So this is another way you can get your demographic sample survey, because you can't reach everyone. For example, if I want to find out the total number of school-going age children in the states in Nigeria, I may not be able to visit every home in Nigeria, but however, I will be able to take a sample and visit those samples and get the average of what the sample represents. Now, the another way is for you to get an international publications. In this regard, international publication is being recommended because it is seen that a lot of research would have gone in there to gather the information in the true form that it should be. And you know so well, for example, in Nigeria, we rely so much on UNESCO publications because we feel that, yes, they've carried it out and it is well done and the rest of them. But again, we have our own publication at international level. For example, if I have to find out the total number of enrollment in the different universities in Nigeria, what I need to do is to go to NUC. On the NUC publication, I'm sure what I am going to get there will be authentic. So whoever that is looking for such publication anywhere in the world, you will be able to, because it will be authentic. Now, the other part we need to look at is the demography and educational planning. We have looked at sources where we get this demography. Now, why is demography important in planning education? Why do we need to gather data from international publication? Why do we need to get sample? Why do we need to know the number of migrant marriages, death, vital registration? Why do we need all this? What are we going to use it for when it comes to educational planning? Now, if you look through this is a sample now of a population representing a particular country or state. And you see that here you have children, you have the adult, this person is an adult, you have boys, you have girls, they are mixed up. So if we don't study the characteristics of this population, you will not know exactly the type of education that will be provided that will meet their need. Because we need to know their need, we need to know where they live, we need to know what is available in where they are to be able to get the right education to them. So having said this, now let's look at this. How do you see this? You're seeing a picture of a male this way, a picture of a female, and you see this side looking pink and this side looking blue. You know, blue is usually associated with male, pink is associated with female. So what has this just told us? This is a population of Nigeria in millions as at 2017. And if you look through the middle part here starts from 0 to 4 to 100 years. And if you look at the way the pyramid is going, as the pyramid is going up, at the bottom, you see that it is bigger. As it's going up, it's thinning down. Why? Because at the bottom here, children are born. And as they are growing older, some are dying. And the more you get older, if you look at 70 to 74, you see that what you have there now is between, in fact, it's less than, let me say, about very few millions now, you see, very small, which means many people have died at this point. At the time you are getting to 100, see, I've even thinned into the line. But if you look at the bottom part from 0 to 4 years old, you see 15 million plus, 15 million plus. 15 million plus for girls, 15 million plus for the males. And what does this imply? You know, before now, a lot of people used to say, oh, the males are more than, the female are more than the males. But with what we are seeing here as of 2017, you see that they are almost the same. So what is the importance of this? Now, let us look at it. You have male. The second, let's see. You have the female. This is the female. This is the male. So what is the importance of knowing the total number of male children, the total number of female in the population when you are planning education? You see that what you would require, what you will provide for the male child is usually different from what you provide for the female child in the school environment. There are different things you need to provide that will help the male child and the other for the female child. And again, you know, when you are planning your school environment, that is why we have to do the population, do census, know what is going on, to be able to know. We'll get there shortly. There are people that they are into different religious belief. You still make provision for them to be able to do that. Now, coming to the male and the female, we want to know how many male children are in school, how many male children are qualified to be in school, how many female children are in school or that are supposed to be in school. You know, for some time, especially in the northern part, it was discovered that so many female children do not go to school. The male goes. And again, when you now go through this, because there's an aspect we didn't show here now, because when you are looking at population, you can equally look at it in terms of states. We want to know, yes, in the various states, how many are in the males are in a particular state, how many female are in another state. So that will help you to have a blend when you are planning your educational services. Now, if you look at it again, we have the age. So we want to know from 0 to 4, if you have so many children 0 to 4, what kind of school are you going to provide? That would be pre-primary school. Then 5 to 9, you are going to provide enough primary school that will carry the children through. So this is the way we use this. Now, if you call this a heavy population here, A, then from B to be in school. Now, what kind of school do we want for them? This is a school, C. But you see how they are crowded. This is another school, D. You could see the way too they are crowded. This one is better. The D looks better. So if right now you're able to isolate them, we want to know how many classrooms are you going to prepare for them? How many benches are you going to provide for them? How many teachers are you going to provide for them? So this all counts to knowing how many infrastructure you're going to put in place for each of these groups for them to move on properly. So if you look at this, C appears not to have a very good infrastructure. You see how crowded the classroom is. But if you look at D is well spaced. And with this one that is better spaced, though it's not still very adequate, the teacher will be able to interact with the student more easily here. And you can see here, the children appears not to have desks to write on. But here there is. So when you know the total number of children that are supposed to be in school, it will help the planners, the policymaker, to actually come up with policies that will guide the educational services. Then again, we need to know the school location. We need to know about the school location. Where are we going to put a particular school? This is a fine school, you know. This school is a fine school. It's like Baptist High School. This is a beautiful school. But now you want to set up this kind of school. You need to find out, where are you going to put this school? This is a map of Nigeria. Now you have Sokoto, Katsina, Maiduguri, and so on. Because you must have a base to justify why you have XYZ number of school in a particular location than the other location. When it is not justified, then you have problem with the populace. So if look at this place, we want to find out how many people are staying in Warri, Benin, Oshogbo, Abuja, Kano that require education. And what type of education will you need for them? Because that will help in the distribution of where you are going to plant the school. And when you now come in here, let's assume Kano. Within Kano again, you are going to have a study round to know, okay, what is the distance that the children are going to trek to school? So that will equally help you to know where this school will be. But you cannot get that until you have the demographic data of the people that live there. So these are the things we do when you are using demography for your educational planning. Now, I don't know, any question? Okay, let's quickly go through it again. Now, let's look at the aspect of the population. Remember, I just said the population is vital, because if you don't know the age, you don't know the sex or the gender that you require there, you don't have the number of children that are in a particular location, you won't know exactly what to plan. Like, you even want to set up a higher institution, you need to know the number that require that higher institution. Then we equally look at this. First and foremost, we must be able to isolate the school-going age children from the various population before we can get that done. And we come in here, in this area where you are going to plant a school, you must have a basis why school XYZ must be in a particular place. Okay? Now I think we can get along. So with this, we have come to the end of this course. But before I say goodbye, I just want to recognize 6 persons that were so active in the class. Here you have Mr. Rez, you have Chinedu Okoro here, you have Obi, you have Hakim, Here you have Gloria and this other lady here too. You were all wonderful. You made the class very interesting. With you, the class was so exciting and the class was good to go. Now, finally, I still remain your Professor Obajaje Juliet Inegbedio. You can reach me through this email address, and here is my phone number. So with this, I say, enjoy your studies.